Welcome back to my next playthrough series. This time it's Dungeons & Dragons Adventure Begins, a cooperative board game. It's a pretty simple game. It's an introductory game for young people to try and get them, I guess, involved in Dungeons & Dragons. And it is a board game. You're going to be rolling some dice. You've got some characteristics of your player characters. We'll take a closer look at them here in a second. You've got some item cards you can collect along the way down your journey. A backpack, everyone gets one of those. I'll go over these really briefly. So we have, there's 4 tiles in the game that you have to travel down. So we have like Gauntlet Grim, Neverwinter Wood, we're into Mount Hot now, and then the last one over here you can't quite see is Neverwinter with our boss. And there's 4 bosses you can choose in the game. I've chosen the Kraken. So he's sitting at the very end. You have to defeat him. And then there's mini bosses at the end of each of the tiles. So we'll see how that works. We'll take a quick look at the characters. And I'll explain a little bit about how the game works. And there's 4 of them. They're all color-coded. As you can see, there's like blue, red, green, and yellow. And there's a blue, red, green, and yellow miniature representing the different characters. All right, let's take a little bit closer look at... I have the Gambler, the Peacekeeper, the Champion, and the Tornado. So take a quick closer look and kind of see what's going on with that. Super high level view of all of this. So there's of course a color coordinated 20-sided die for each character as well. And it's kind of a flavor game, so you kind of, as introduction, Dungeons & Dragons is basically a role-playing sort of adventure game. If you've never played it, I played a lot of it growing up, and these are little double-sided cardboard little things that you slot into a character sheet here. So I've chosen the Gambler. He's daring, arrogant, and funny. And there's some flavor text for you have a special attack that he can do. You've been training your whole life. Now it's time to lay down. Once per dungeon board, you can choose one attack from your combat tile and roll to use the same attack before the monster retaliates. So you basically do 2 attacks. And it's very generic. So we have a pickaxe. We need a 5+ on a 20-sided die. To hit a monster, it does 1 damage. If we do the broadsword, 12 plus 2 damage. And you can see they're all the same, 5 plus 12. The flavor changes, part of the role-playing thing. So the special ability for the Silver Hand here is Song of Retreat. Even in the heart of battle, you can bring healing to your friends. Once per dungeon board, you may roll to see how many health you can distribute, and it shows you down here how to do that. It's all pretty basic. We'll zoom in on it when we actually play the game. And they have backpacks. So Rhea here has got fishing pole, a large metal hunting trap, warm blanket, and a bag of dragon teeth. And Silverhand has a frying pan, spyglass, book of languages, and climbing harness. So that's to add flavor to the adventures. All right, let's take a look at the other 2. Alright, and the other 2 characters, and I should mention too that these characters, you have a female and a male side, so you can flip the card around, and these are double-sided, as so are there's a couple. So you have a couple of choices for each character. Honestly though, they're all really the same. It's just like this is sneak attack and this is short bow. It's 5 plus 12 plus 1 damage 2. 5 plus 12 plus 1 damage 2. They're all the same, but again, it's supposed to be an introductory game for role-playing. So you can play it up any way you like. So basically I used all the female characters. So we have a sorcerer and we have a fighter here basically. The fighter's got a crowbar, a large ball of yarn, grappling hook, block and chains. And our sorcerer's got bar of soap, box of bandages, bone saw, waterproof cape. Interesting. So again, flavor. The champion's special ability. So we got a healer, we got a double attack. Tag team, even self-sufficient Dragonborn. Know when it's time to call in reinforcements. Once per dungeon board, you may roll to attack with a friend, then choose the highest roll. So you basically can double team something. And the special ability for here, Wind Wielder. Sorcerer's magic can be wild and unexpected. Once per dungeon board, you may use a gust of wind to re-roll a low roll. And the dungeon boards, we'll take a closer look at their starting one. We'll take a quick look here at what happens. So if we get into a combat, heroes see who rolls first. So you're supposed to roll for initiative. I'm not going to bother doing that. It's just going to take time. We'll just go ahead and do an attack for each. The attacking hero decides what attack and special ability they use and roll. The DM rolls for the monster to attack back. Hero subtracts hit points if needed. Combat passes clockwise. Take turns with the monster until it's defeated. The hero who deals the final blow describes kill. So again, role playing. And on the back of this, you have the shop. So you can level up at any time, except during combat, by paying 5 gold. You can flip over to your tile to level 2 and get 10 hit points. So if you level up. So you pay 5 gold, you flip your tile over, which is this one here, to a level 2. You get stronger abilities. And an item card. You can buy an item card. There's a bunch of them here. They're purple. You get them for defeating monsters and stuff as well. Draw 3 from the deck and choose one and put the other 2 back. And revive. When you die, trade in all your gold and you end up with 5 hit points. So you basically can regenerate if you get knocked out. And that's the gist of the game. It's really how it works. Let's take a look at a player board and then we're going to get into it, I think. Alright, so we have 4 of these dungeon tiles, or I guess, what do they call them here? Once per dungeon board. So this is dungeon board. So we're starting out in Goblin. You can put these in any order you want. Each of the 4 bosses, we're playing the Kraken, shows you which tile they end on. So the boss is the final tile. This one happens to be at Neverwinter at the end, so that's who we're going to be taking on. And then there's a mini boss at the little zone here that you have to encounter for the Kraken. So there's 4 different monsters. The Kraken here, we're going to deal with the level 1 mini boss, and then on the next tile will be the level 2 mini boss, and so on until we get to the big guy. And so we all start here, and we're going to have our first adventure. Now each of these boards has its own deck of 24 cards, and these 24 cards get all shuffled up. So, you know, there's things like proceed with caution. They all have nice little artwork on them. So I'm just going to give them a quick shuffle. I'm going to draw from the bottom. I'm supposed to draw from the top. It doesn't matter. So when we move from the one board to the next board, we get another deck of 24 cards. And as you can see in the bottom here, it tells you which deck this is from. So this deck corresponds to Gauntlegrim, or however you say it. And the DM's got a 10-sided die to roll for their attack. We'll see how that works here in a second. Alright, so we're going to put this deck back in here, and this would pass to the different players. So players play the DM as well. Alright, so we all start out here, pardon my throat here today, and we all have the first adventure. So I'm going to draw from the bottom so I don't know what's coming. And boom, we have this one to start with. Oh, and I should also say there are side passages. You can go off. If you go off into here on your movement after we have an encounter, you go through the deck till you find a monster. Otherwise, you can stay to the main path and you'll get monsters and or events happening. For this playthrough, I'm not going to go off to the side and fight monsters because we're going to run into monsters along the way. And if we do that, it's going to take a lot longer. This is a pretty simple rinse and repeat game. Turn after turn is pretty similar. So we're just going to try and go through the main thing as it is. And I can't remember, I don't think we start the game with an item card. I'm pretty sure we don't. I'm not going to bother doing it. I don't think we do. Alright, so let's take a look at our first encounter. It's so jelly. So it's like a gelatinous cube, I guess. Interesting. So this is what we have. Now you don't see the information on the back because that's what the DM would read. So I'm going to say a gelatinous cube is squishing toward you at a slow but unstoppable speed. It says, quick, all players except the DM. So let's just say the DM is our first player here, the dwarf. So we're going to have him sit it out. So he's not doing it. Let's do their best impression of a gelatinous cube. Hopefully you can trick it into passing you by. So here's where you get into the role-playing aspect of the game. So each player then would be doing their impression of a gelatinous cube. And let's see what happens. The DM chooses the player who best tricked the gelatinous cube. All other players get sucked inside. So there we go. So that's kind of a funny little encounter that happens. So, making a long story short, they each do their impression of the gelatinous cube, and the DM has decided that our fighter here didn't do the best impression. So he's got 10 health, and the health is tracked on the bottom here. So he's going to lose, I think it was the other 2 lose a health. So the fighter's going to lose a health, and who else? And our sorcerer will lose a health. And again, you can see just how very simple the game is. But it's meant to be an introductory role-playing game for Dungeons & Dragons. Right, boom, encounter 1 finished. And then we would move on to the next space. So we decide as a group what we're going to do. You can split off in the game too, so 2 can go here. These guys have to wait, and then everyone would then show up in the next space. But like I said, we're just going to go right ahead and go directly onto the main course. So off we go now to the next adventure. And as you can see, it would get very repetitive, but that's the nature of the game, and it's just meant to be like a light, fun little introductory game. So the next section we get into is slots. Okay, well, we don't know what this is. We'll find out. It says you approach a door with a big lever attached to a wheel with 2 symbols on it. One opens the door, the other springs a trap. You can only enter one at a time. All players roll to see what happens when they pull the lever. All right, well, I'm going to roll 1 die for all of them. They're all going to huddle together and go through. Again, you can see how you play this game individually, going through each character. We're not going to do it. We're just going to roll 1 die, and we're going to get it. We get a 9. So it says, a slot opens in the door, and wooden coins spill out and hit you in the face. So yes, there's humor in here. Everybody loses health. So they failed to get through that slot very easily, and everyone loses a health. And boom, down we go. So I'm just do this off screen. It's hard to move these sliders. All right, everybody loses a health. What do we decide to do as a group? We're going to press on. We're going to get right through here. So we'll go to the next main thing. Again, you can branch off, look for a monster in the deck corresponding to here, or we're just going to go ahead and do the next thing. It could very well be a monster. We will find out here as I pull the card out. And we have Pointy. Okay, looks like Game of Thrones. We got a pointy whatever. Let's figure out what that is. It says you enter a room with a throne at the end of it. Something about it is familiar. All players roll. The player with the highest roll rolls again for a closer look. All right, well, we can do that. Let's roll. We're going to roll all the 20-sided die. We're going to see who gets the highest roll. And 2, 2, 12. So our sorcerer got the highest roll. All right, so our sorcerer is going to go take a closer look. And the sorcerer walks up and takes a closer look. And you have to roll die. So the sorcerer's going to roll a die, and the sorcerer gets a 3. That's probably not a good roll. You know, if you roll really low in Dungeons & Dragons, usually bad things happen. It says you see a dragon's head-shaped button, and you push it. The throne melts all over you. Lose a hit point. God, yeah. So we've had 3 nasty encounters. Sorcerer losing another hit point, going from 9 health down to 8. Now, at this point in time, because we're going to be encountering the final boss here in the next encounter, we're going to go ahead and which one of them had the healing? It was Song of Retreat. So the Peacekeeper, our green player, right here is going to be doing that. So even in the heat of battle, you bring your healing to your friends. Once per dungeon board, you may roll to see how much health you can distribute. So we're going to roll a green die. If we roll a 1 to 10, we can distribute 1 health to any 2 players. And if we roll 11 to 20, we can distribute 2 health to any 2 players. 14, so we do a great job of healing, and we're going to heal 2 health off of their tornado, bringing right up back up to 10 health. Again, you can see how easy the game is. I mean, simplistic, but interesting. And another 2 for our champion. So those guys are at full health, and the other 2 characters now are down. Our yellow player, Dwarf, is down 2 health. And our song singer is down 1 health. Boom! Off we go to the next encounter. Everybody's going to move. And now we are into the final mini-boss. So we do the mini-boss Kraken number 1. And let's find out what it says. The deep silent. Try and just scooch that over the side. You can see there's a health bar here. That's how many hit points the character has. So this is going to be an actual fight against the Deep Scion. The Kraken approaching Neverwinter Harbor has sent spies to find out what defenses the city may have. This once human shapeshifter approaches you as a friend, then attacks you when your back is turned. Oh, yahoo! Alright, so if we defeat it, everyone's going to get a gold coin. And if we get beat up, well, then we're going to lose a bunch of hit points. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to start attacking it. And this is where each of our characters will tell them what they're doing for the attack. So we'll just start off on the left. The gambler, our dwarf here, is just going to go ahead and use his broadsword. So he needs a 12 plus to hit, and he gets a 9. So he whiffs, no damage. And the Deep Scion would fire back with its 10-sided die. So it gets to retaliate. It was out on the screen, it was a 6. And a 6 means a psychic screech. And our dwarf takes a damage from that. So, ouch. Dwarf down to 7 health. And yes, if you get knocked out, you just lose all your gold, which of course I have no gold. Alright, up next, we have the Peacekeeper. And the Peacekeeper is going to use a Hideous Laughter spell. And boom, 13, needed a 12 plus. It works 2 damage against the Deep Scion. So the Deep Scion, it loses 2 health. So you saw on the side, it had 4 health, but you wouldn't know that. The DM would know it. There's a little slider you put on it. So down to 2 health, but it retaliates. Of course it does. It rolls a 2 and no hit. Nothing happens. Alright, over we go to our champion fighter here. And the fighter is going to use the Sharp Sword, 12 plus, and rolls a 2. A whiff. Fighter whiffs and retaliation. Boom! Psychic Screech gets a damage. So our fighter whiffed and the Scion smacked him one. Alright, up last is our Sorcerer. Our Sorcerer is going to go ahead and use the Magic Missiles, 12 plus, and rolls a 15. So the Magic Missile does 2 damage and boom! The Deep Scion is defeated. So I'll just show you the first card here. So you can see it just rolls against you. After defeat, everyone gets a gold coin. Woohoo! So the Deep Kraken defeated. And next we'd be moving on to the next encounter. And we need to get a new deck of cards for this board. Alright, everybody gets a gold coin. Alright, and you can trade gold coins at any time with anybody. So everyone could just give everyone else their coins or whatever. If it's agreed upon, of course, by the party. Everyone gets a gold coin. Alright, we're just going to zoom over here. I'm going to change the deck. We're going to wrap up our episode for today. So we're probably going to have 1, 2, 3, probably 4 episodes here. We're just going to whip through this fairly quickly. It's, like I said, not a super complicated game. It's supposed to be a role-playing game. Obviously not role-playing. I'm just kind of showing you how it works. So there you go. Alright, so we are moving. We're actually finished with this board now. We beat the mini-boss. We're moving to this board. So what we do is we take the little deck out of here. This was the Gauntlegrim deck. We put that back in the box. And we grab the next playboard, which is the Neverwinter Wood, which corresponds to this symbol. And as you can see, there's a damsel in distress, perhaps. So we're going to move there. We're not going to do the encounter. We're going to do that in our next episode. I'm going to give this deck a shuffle, and we're going to get ready for next time. So as you can see, yes, it's a sort of an introduction to role-playing. And it's a very simplistic game, but you know, it's good for, I think, for young kids. Get them sort of introduced to the whole concept of Dungeons and Dragons. Boom, deck is in here, and we're ready to go. Next episode, Neverwinter Wood. So yeah, I'm going to do one episode per deck. So it's be 4 episodes, be pretty quick. And of course, we have Kraken too, so we have another mini boss at the end here. So thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, and likes. This is Dungeons and Dragons. Adventure begins. And it'll be a pretty quick little series. So thanks so much. I'll see you next time. It's a continuation when our party of adventurers here is going to be taking on Neverwinter Wood. So thanks so much, and we'll see you then.